Welcome everybody. A few weeks ago on a previous episode, I asked Chris what do guitars sound like without the tone bars. He said, I don't know. Let's make one and find out.
Very daytime TV.
Wasn't it?
Is
Like
it
I was picturing some kind of...
Scottish Highlands or something? Aye.
Yeah.
Sort of, maybe a gardening show.
Or a sheep shearing...
Sheep shearing.
Something.
Perfect.
Something like that.
Hi everybody, welcome back.
Hello everyone. How you doing?
What are we doing today, mate?
Mate, this is a good episode.
Very interesting.
We were having a conversation during another episode.
During another episode.
I believe it was to do with anatomy, perhaps.
Of an acoustic guitar.
We were talking about bracing and tone bars and how the tone bar would affect, perhaps,
Tone?
the tone.
Yeah. Well, you said, what does a guitar sound like without any tone bars?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. I thought, I would imagine it would be all muddy, very bass heavy, like just a bit sort of unpleasant.
Because the idea is that it's kind of controlling the resonances of that lower mid, maybe.
They're regulating the top, or they're regulating the response at the top, I guess. So shall we remind ourselves what tone bars are? Fortunately, I have one just here, which we made.
Is what I made earlier.
Tone bars, so bracing, obviously we have our X, big forward structure there. These are the two tone bars. Right on the soundboard, we've got our bridge plate. And there's loads of great conversation online about tone bars and people thinking different things. In my learning, I was told, it's about tone, and they help to regulate the vibration of the top and all that, the top going up and down and across and all that sort of movement.
Because it is kind of in that area where you would expect. I mean, if you put a microphone here, you get a really boomy sound on a guitar, right?
So this is where it all goes on, and it's like, majority of the structure came from the X. Tone bars, and no doubt what you do to these and the balance between the X affects response, tonality, all things. Before we get to the top, obviously the shape of the guitar and the tone which you're using, major impactors.
Yeah.
Then you get to the top. What you do with the brace, with the X, and how much scalloping, if you see we do a lot of scalloping here, or I've always thought the rest is down to these two things. And we've always done something a little different. Sometimes we do opposing sort of, this one's peaked in the middle where you have mass, it tightens things up.
Yeah.
And it's like EQing. So this is your EQ settings for the top. Some people believe the tone bars bring a lot of structural integrity and some people don't. So we made an MD60BG, same as this, without these two. So this guitar hasn't got any tone bars. It's just got a bridge plate and then this big open soundboard. And it doesn't do anything like I thought it did. It's not that hugely out of control mess. Sustains pretty well.
Yeah.
But there's not much body to it.
It's like night and day though, isn't it?
So it's like all this air. So the tone bars, depending on what you do with them, they tighten some frequencies up and they impact other frequencies. You know, when I was at William's workshop many years ago, when he was teaching me the basics at William Campiano's place in Northampton, Massachusetts, he had a vice, and he stuck in this piece of metal, like a metal rod, and he put it in the vice, and he flicked the metal rod, and all these things started rattling on the shelves of his workshop, whether it was tools or cans and
Resonant frequencies.
Resonant frequencies. Then he undid the vice and he shortened the metal rod and he flicked it again, and different things on the shelving started to move than they did when the rod was long. And that's what's kind of happening here. You know, whatever you do, it's affecting different modes of vibration. So this thing's got all this body. You think you're going to tighten the top up and make it heavy, or you're adding construction, which would lend you to believe it's going to be a bit tighter. But that thing's got there's no note behind the note. It's like airy and hasn't got any guts. I mean, MD60BG, that loads of people have got them, and it's just like, I mean, it sounds all right, but it just sounds a bit, bit lacking. But then there's another thing. The other thing is, we made this guitar and we flew it in, so some things could have happened to it, but I don't think it's a humidity thing. But this guitar is falling to bits.
We get guitars shipped in all the time that way, directly from the factory, and I've not seen that happen. And it's not just that though, is it?
So it's got some lacquer checking here, and it's buzzing, but the frets aren't sharp. So if it was starting to fall apart because of humidity, the frets was probably, there'd be some contraction in the fingerboard. Arch that we build, the curve that we build in this top from construction, from the bracing, is totally gone.
It's starting to sink?
It's starting to sink. So the neck set has gone high, the top's come down, the neck's gone high, the fingerboard is closer to the strings, that's why it's buzzing. And when you sight this neck, and I put a straight edge on earlier, there's a whole gap on each side. So, without a doubt, 99%, maybe something happened to the guitar the way over, maybe, but I doubt it. We would see other signs of humidity impact. But this guitar, its top has sunk, and it's buzzing. And I think, it's like setup is really important to tone. One of the reasons it doesn't sound good, it sounds a bit rattly, right? You can hear that.
Yeah.
So,
but had that changed? How long have you had that?
A few days.
Right.
But it has sunk more in the last couple of days to when it first arrived.
When you picked it up out of the box, how did it feel?
When I first picked it up out of the box, I thought it lacked something compared to a normal MD60BG. But when I went to it this morning and sighted the neck set had definitely come high.
You could actually see it.
Yeah. And then I put a straight edge on the top, and it's sunk.
Amazing.
So from this experiment, whatever's said, like definitely tone bars affect how the guitar sounds, no doubt. But they're not just about tone. They're absolutely critical to structural integrity, we believe.
When were tone bars first introduced?
I think they've been there since early days.
Oh, really? So it wasn't like the bracing was heavier, and as the bracing got lighter, the tone bars were introduced.
The first bracing was fan bracing.
Yeah.
From the classical.
Of course.
And then there's ladder bracing and lattice and all that sort of stuff.
So that area of the guitar was already being covered anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the X brace kind of came in,
which was CF.
Yeah.
Martin did it. I presume in the early Martins somebody can enlighten us, but I believe they had tone bars. People think you're going to have lots more bass, and there's going to be this madness of sound, this unregulated top.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not that mad. It's just a bit crap, and it's falling apart a bit. The top is definitely sunk. So, moral of the story, we won't be
experimenting anymore.
We'll be sticking with our tone bars and embracing them fully. But we'll do some more A and B so people can hear how they perform
we'll do a little
properly.
recording.
But this thing is buzzing, and this top has come down, and in my mind, that's absolutely because there's no tone bars in it. So structural integrity, they do bring.
Brilliant. That was a good one.
Good question, mate.
Yeah, nice one.
See you guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. If you want to watch more videos like this one, click the video on the screen now.